All right, so there's a lot of things happening in the EV space. A couple of the companies, obviously you guys know we cover everything from Tesla, NIO, BYD, a lot of movement happening, but what a lot of scenarios don't apply to is this whole last mile component. And that's what we're gonna dive in today. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to TechPath. Okay, so I've done a few videos here on the show, and we've done some robo-taxi analysis of where that last mile for food delivery could go. Had a whole breakout on that. Tesla, of course, has been a little slow in developing a robo-taxi fleet. But then we've done different videos on drones that could essentially do this. Well, there is a new company, not a new company, but a company that has recently gone public, and it's Electric Last Mile Solutions, trading as ELMS. Basically what this company is a light class 1 van that has been electrified to essentially manage itself for delivery and logistics systems. And they've done some pretty big scenarios in terms of the overall features. So the urban delivery vehicle is anticipated to have a range of about 150 miles, exceeding the daily average, which is basically a 45 to 50 miles driven by most class 1 delivery vehicles or fleet vehicles. These are light trucks and light vans that fall into that. And it's also expected to come with a suite of connectivity and productivity solutions, including over-the-air updates, which I think is going to be a key thing, with especially if you look at this company and kind of their whole lineup of teams that they've put together, both from an advisory standpoint and also from a management standpoint. They're offering solutions to basically take these fleets, electrify all these kinds of delivery fleets. I'm going to be interested to see if Amazon jumps into this. They also have some pretty amazing numbers in terms of their overall program. And if you look at, they recently announced plans to reveal a working prototype second vehicle, urban utility, also an all-electric medium-duty cab forward truck. So that'd be kind of like those tilt-over cabs that you've seen. The urban utility is going to have an acquisition cost of $35,000 after federal tax. You're going to get down to like a class 2 and 3 competitors. Probably going to be in the cargo capacity of about 170 cubic feet. This is going to put your pricing after tax credits at around $25,000, which is going to be pretty significant, especially for logistics vehicles, because that's in itself really starts to change the dynamic of what you guys are seeing out there on the road delivering your packages, especially lightweight packages. Amazon's already kind of been in this space for quite some time, but for them to have a company that actually is here really getting into it is going to be very interesting. There are and have been many announcements in class 2 and 3, including Ford, E-Transit, BrightDrop, Amazon Rivian, and Arrival, which are just some of them. And then ELMS Urban Delivery is going after this class 1, which is really only one category player in there, and that's Canoo, which is Go EV. And we've talked about Go EV before, where I feel like this is a company that's really struggling with team and also their vision. With all that being said, it really kind of pushes into this space. There's a lot of potential opportunity here, I think, with this particular company. And the amount of vehicles that they have on order or planned for on order is pretty significant, which could really kind of play into what their overall opportunity is in terms of their market capitalization, which are really being traded at a very low rate right now. Could roll out. This would be very similar, and I'm going to show you some charts here to kind of give you some comparisons, but I do want to jump to their slides. All right, so I want to go to their founders. So this is, if you look at their team, James Taylor and Jason Luo, Jason is basically was one of the CEOs at Ford China. He's also currently a senior advisor at Crestview Partners. Then you've got James Taylor here. He was over at Cadillac, also a CEO of Hummer. Look at this team here. This team is crazy. That's the difference, I think, between a company like this. And I want to kind of jump down here to their pro forma, because this is interesting on their overview. Look at where they were, because this was while they were in that SPAC or that PIPE. They raised $155 million in connection with the merger, another $250 million in SPAC trust, basically $1.19 billion enterprise value at closing. Represents very good entry in terms of multiples. The team is expected to have close to $345 million of cash to fund operations. They've got a 62.8% existing shareholders. Lots of interesting movement here. And then if you look at their additional team right here, we already talked about Jason and James. Here's Jerry Hu, KSS and VW, Justin Prawn, CCO, also at BMW, Kev Aljamain, FCA, and Idaho National Food Laboratory. This one is a little interesting here. And then Byton and Ford, and then so on. You can kind of see, and then look at the advisor group they've got here, which is like Shauna McIntyre, who's Sense Products, Photonics, which is basically kind of the LiDAR companies. Basically, they do the LiDAR. You've got Intel in here, UPS for the delivery side of it. This is a rock star group of people that have come together around this particular brand. And I think it's an interesting element. And when you look at what they're doing in terms of this whole approach, and I want to jump down to their kind of their OEM and tier one suppliers that they kind of show, and where they're providing what they're doing, which is low cost, reliable, connected, and customized. Basically right there, look at this number right here. Let me zoom in on that one right there. 45,000 pre-orders to date. So if you have that 45,000 to the 25,000 price tag, you're over $1 billion in revenue for this company. Telematics and Data, which is their data supplier. They've got to deal with upfitters right here on customization. So it customizes these vehicles to the logistics company, because this could be, I could see this being used also in different kind of light utility applications like plumbing and things that aren't hauling big heavy weights, weighted cargo, and kind of going in that direction. So there's a lot happening here with where they're going. The question is going to be whether or not that the company can grow and expand and keep up with demand, because I think this is the thing right now with so much e-commerce growth we've got. The potential here for them is huge. And of course, with their IPO, now money is not an issue. This company, I think, is getting ready to jump off. Highlights as we execute against our business plan. This is a chart I thought was interesting to go into. 31,000 square foot global HQ, tech hub, prototype center in Troy, Michigan. So they're right there in the hub of all of Detroit. Then you've got a growing team with world-class experts pulling from basically, again, those talent fields that live out there. They've got the 45,000 in pre-orders. Then they're looking at what's happening over here in these things called production readiness. So they've got a lot of companies that are starting to move around them. And then you've got deals like on the supply side on agreements with CATL, which is a huge battery maker in terms of their powertrain. Geotab for telematics. Baseline and gap analysis has been complete on the continuing progress to meet all these U.S. requirements. They've got this utility program kicked off. This company has really put in a ton of work around what they're trying to do. And I want to jump over here just to show you the shift to online and consumer desire for immediacy. This goes back to the consumer demand towards last mile delivery, which is really kind of what we're seeing in terms of everything from food delivery to light package delivery, et cetera. Last mile delivery services, $50 billion by 2022. You can kind of see the numbers on that average growth rate. Then you can look over here on delivery vehicles, 1.5 million units by 2025. They've got 45,000 sold. So you can kind of see the market is potentially huge for this company, especially when they don't have a ton of competition in this space. So that's going to be very interesting. So ELMS positioned well as anticipated first mover. Big move, and then you can kind of see the different use cases that they're rolling out, and that's including, fleets with FedEx, DHL. You've got, like I was talking about, comms, small business, which would be food delivery, et cetera, utility companies. This is going to be a massive movement. Here's the thing that I would a little bit be worrisome of, and that is, do they get crushed with demand? Because demand can definitely start to change things. One, it makes you cut corners and you start to make mistakes, regardless of how much money you have. The issue is that you don't want to have customers ask for something now that you're capable of dealing with it, and then you can't deliver. That's one of the most difficult things a growing company has in terms. And Tesla's kind of dealing with that right now in a lot of countries, including China. And also here in the US right now, they've got a lot of customers who are jumping ship and moving to the next best available. In some cases, it's an ICE vehicle. So that definitely cannot be the case for ELMS if they don't really have the capacity to be able to handle and sustain the movement. Let's look at their delivery market landscape. This is the one thing I thought was kind of interesting. why did they put Neo on there, or Nikola on there? This company's like gone. So anyway, point being, class 3, urban utility, they think they're going to get some crossover. They're in the class 1, which is the less than 6,000. Notice the only real other is going to be the Canoo MPDV, which is a 2023. These guys are going to be rolling out now in 2021. You see this mid-class, class 2, the 6 to 10K. So you can kind of see some of the things that are happening with BrightDrop and Ford. So they're in a perfect spot, and potentially in a spot where they can compete with some of the big players. And the fact that they've kind of moved into this whole category, I think this is going to be a very interesting opportunity. Here's the other thing, gross vehicle weight. Here's the announcements. Basically 2021, you've got urban utility and ELMS. Then you come into what is happening with Workhorse, Amazon Rivian, which will be 2022, and then Canoo, still TBD on this vehicle right here, which is in the class 3 range, and then the MPVD right here that you see in 2023. And then you see all of the traditional vehicles that are already in the space right here. So it's not a tough field for them. They have the opportunity here to really kind of blow past the competition, especially with these tax credits and the ability and a lot of companies really looking to go and start to reduce their environmental impact. And EV, of course, will be a big part of that. And I think these logistics side of that is going to be another one. The other thing is they have a crossover strategy offering superior cargo room and cost alternatives, again, because you don't have a vehicle, you don't have a huge ICE engine. So that in itself has a big advantage. And I think this is a company that really has done their homework. Again, it goes back to, can they hold on when you look at demand? And look at their launch timeline, Q1, 2, and 3. A little bit. They really are looking at the SOP to hit in Q3, which I think is going to be the key here. If they can really start rolling out towards the end of this year and fulfilling orders, then this is where I think we'll start to see some pretty fast movement with them. So just a quick look at their stock, just to kind of look where they open. And I put up Canoo here. You can kind of see where Canoo is tracking. Canoo's about a $2 billion market cap. These guys are coming in at around $300 million market cap, very early on trading, got a little bit of movement right here. This may be one of those stocks that is a sleeper in the EV space and could be a nice little stock to really kind of start to experiment, especially if you're looking for some innovation and some diversification in your portfolio, because this one definitely goes a little different direction with what ELMS is doing. So if you guys are listening in, I don't know if I would give a prediction on this, but I definitely would say this is a buy. And I think it's at a spot right now where it is kind of hovering. It didn't take off too much, so it's not out of hand in terms of acquisition and the ability to do some potential investing in this company. The key here, though, I think is going to be as that Q3 and 4 starts to roll out and their ability to land those contracts for 2022. Lots of interesting stuff in the space of EVs. As a reminder, this is not financial advice. We don't give you guys anything that says, hey, you should go out and do this. But the number one thing is, hopefully it's research and gives you some ideas of where you should start doing your own research in your own investment strategy, whether it's public or private. And that's the number one thing you've got to do here, especially here on TechPath, because we cover a lot of EV, cryptocurrency, AI, autonomy, and really kind of this forward innovation in technology that has kind of started to shift our entire society. If you're listening in over on the podcast, make sure and tune in with some stars. Give us some love over there. If you're here on YouTube, make sure and subscribe right now. That's the number one way you can help the channel. And of course, if you have an idea for a show, just send that to producer@revernetworks.com. And you can always hit me up on Twitter @Paul Barron. I'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.